If you have been overthinking, spinning your wheels, starting things, but struggling to follow through, or just feeling like something is off about a situation that you're trying to call forth in your life or business, you are not alone. You are not broken. And this episode is for you. You're listening to the Aligned and Magnetic podcast with Lauren Ashley, certified coach and mindset queen. Hey, loves. Welcome back to another episode of the Aligned and Magnetic podcast. Today, we are going to be diving deeper into alignment and specifically talking about something that I have been really diving deep into since about January that I'm really excited to bring to human design, to personal development, personal growth, self-help, all of the things. So the last couple episodes, I have been talking about human design and covered things around like type, strategy, authority, and how to manifest according to your design, how to flow in business according to your design. And what I really want to dive into today is talking about how we can kind of shift out of alignment, not on purpose, obviously, because we are always wanting to, at least me, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking at, okay, how can I align more deeply with what it is I'm trying to create so it doesn't feel like such a push. I think that pushing energy is something that we're really conditioned to execute on. Like we live in a world that is so hustle and so pushy. And this is something that was so clear to me when I moved to Mexico. If you are new to my channel, new to my podcast, I lived in Mexico for 6 years. I talk all about my journey in previous episodes. You can go back to the very beginning of the podcast, season 1, episode 1, where I share it all. And then I, of course, talk more about my journey along the way. So go binge, go listen to the whole story. But when I moved to Mexico and started to really step away from the reality that I had kind of, I guess, grown up in and had come to know, and really started to play with and experiment with a different way of being, I really started to honor more of that feminine energy, more of that creative energy, and decondition. And what I mean by decondition is really look at, first of all, the patterns that I had grown up with, believing that those were required for my success, and having the space to reflect on, okay, that is like one version of success, to hustle, to push things forward, to do anything in your ability to get some sort of result, sometimes to your detriment. And I started to see a different side of how we can live life with the flow of the universe. Now, I think what gets a little bit complicated, or maybe not complicated, but misunderstood, is there's kind of like these polar extremes that I feel people go through or that we kind of think about. And it's interesting because I think that these extremes are actually serving a purpose. We are, according to human design, in a time where we are evolving. The latest center that has evolved in human design is the emotional solar plexus. And with that is coming the evolution of humanity. I've been reflecting and reading up on this a lot, and I'm not by any means like super expert on the whole evolutionary part of it because it's new to me. However, what I have come to understand is that there have been periods of transition and transformation and shift throughout our timeline here on Earth. And we are experiencing another shift now where we are headed in the direction of more flow with the universe, more feeling into things, more around that emotional solar plexus, where instead of manifesting from a place of survival, which is where we've been in a timeline or an energy of manifesting based on our needs, our survival needs, right? Think of like water, food, like money to pay those bills and all of that jazz. And where we are headed, from my understanding, is a place where we can manifest from desire. Like the survival things are met. Now, what do we desire to manifest from a place of like abundance, right? And I know a lot of people talk about this kind of in different ways. So I just wanted to bring that human design lens to it. Things are moving and shifting. And where I can see right now is we are still doing that work to shift. The reason I bring this up is because when I was in Mexico and I had kind of reached this place where everything felt so aligned, I felt so in my flow and so, I guess, in my power that, I could get clear on a desire and clear the way and make it happen quite easily. And I was definitely on a upward trajectory with that. However, because of certain life events that I went through, and it's interesting, I don't even think that like if those life events didn't happen, that I wouldn't have gone through this. Like I think that we all kind of have to go through these things in order to reflect and learn and recalibrate and transform. I hope that this is making sense. I'm kind of just talking off the cuff. This is a different style of podcast for me today. I have noticed that even though, for me, it looked like divorce and a couple other things going on in my internal world that kind of pulled me out of my alignment and my flow and pulled me back into that hustly kind of energy. I've noticed that it's not just me that has gone through this, but other leaders, other people in business for sure. And on a collective level, ever since COVID, it's like COVID opened up that window of possibility. It's like it showed us what is possible. And then life came back and we all went back. And I almost feel like, in a sense, we started hustling even more than we were before. The energetics have been so crazy the last couple years. I don't know if you've been feeling it, but I have come to this place, and it's interesting because even though I knew what I needed to do for myself over the last couple years, I tried, and a lot of it was really hard for me. It was so hard for me to get myself, for example, to even get on my yoga mat. But since January, I have been able to do the things that I know I need for myself to be in alignment. And so what I think is kind of happening here is A, our own personal journeys are unfolding, but B, we're also in this cosmic web of change and transition. And I believe that we all as souls came here on a particular time for a particular reason. And if you're watching this, there is a chance that you resonate with being a very sensitive soul in a world that you don't really feel like you fit into. And if you're watching this, you might also be on a path of trying to create a life that is, I guess, unique and customized to who you are and supports your evolution and your evolvement as a human and has, what you desire. It has the things that you desire, whether that's time freedom, financial freedom, deep love, a super healthy and, happy relationship that continues to support your evolution on this earth. Maybe it is, creating a business that not only sustains you, like supports you financially, but also has a deeper fulfillment element, purpose to it. Whatever your journey looks like is going to be unique to you. But if you are here and you are resonating with all of that, then you are definitely in the right place. My whole thing is about aligning with who we are and creating a life that we came here to create, right? I think that we all kind of get dropped into this world, and it all serves a purpose, right? But from a spiritual lens, we get dropped into this world, forget everything that we know about ourselves, and then kind of have to relearn who we are, why we're here, and, how can we, first of all, what are we here to create? What are we here for? And then how can we do that in a way that honors who we are as individuals? I think that I've been reflecting so much on just life on a grander scale and evolution and all of that stuff. For those of you who don't know, I actually did my thesis in my undergrad on the evolution of bullying, something around that. And so it's interesting that evolution has kind of come back around because at that point in my journey, I was like, fuck evolution. Like that's so dumb. Like let's just focus on something positive and whatever. But it's interesting now, like that I kind of come back and can see, wow, evolution does play a role in things. And not only have we evolved physically, right? It's physical beings, if you believe in evolution, but we are also evolving on the quantum field and we are evolving as energetic bodies and beings as well. And so that changes the way that we exist, right? And of course, it's going to have impacts on the social structures and societal systems that we live in. And something that's become so clear to me is like, you know, when I was in Mexico, I had this crazy, crazy belief that everybody knows what I know, everybody's living a happy life, and everyone's in alignment like me, and therefore my work is not needed, which is so wild because now that I'm here in Montreal and have struggled so much over the last couple years, that belief is so gone. Like, I'm like, no, this is so needed right now. And we still have so much work to do. And so I hope that this episode is going to bring you some clarity. And, you know, I'm going to continue to talk about alignment and self mastery is a topic that I'm really focusing on right now because through this evolution, if we don't pay attention to our energetic bodies, as well as our physical and mental bodies, we can't be a part of this evolution, right? Because what I've experienced is that we get easily sucked into society's way of being. And this has been true for me. And I see it happening in others. But for specific people who have come here for a specific purpose to do whatever it is that they came to do, but they came here to do it on their terms, you might feel a little bit more sensitive than other people. You might feel things a little bit more deeply. You might not even be in the place of feeling things deeply. You might not be sensitive yet, but you might just know that something about the reality that you're living is not working for you. It's not right. It doesn't feel good. And that in and of itself is knowing enough to start to do the work to head toward your alignment. I've been having so many conversations with people who are going through really difficult times right now. And difficult because, you know, when we are in a state of expansion or growth, oftentimes what happens is the universe or our higher selves will pull away from us the thing that maybe we feel like we need or the thing that our ego kind of revolves around so that we can take a deeper look within and see what's not working, what's not aligning, and then come back after we've done the work and kind of step into that expansion. So just as some examples to ground this, I know it can kind of feel a little bit airy-fairy. People are, for example, losing their jobs right now, right? Or people are, I'll give you an example for me. I have been hustling my ass off for the last year, ever since this move to Montreal really put me into a place of hustle because financially our life has expanded and what was working okay in Mexico was no longer working for me here in the sense that I needed to bring in some more cash money, right? And so instead of aligning and doing the deep inner alignment work that I know works, I got sucked into the mentality of you have to hustle to get your way there. And this is obviously something I could have avoided had I had the tools and not even just the tools, but like the deep trust within myself that I actually can do it my way. And not that I didn't have that, it's been there all along. I have always known that I could do it my way. But I think when it comes to getting or achieving a specific goal, us high achievers can become so hyper fixated on that we lose balance in our lives. And this is something I'm always working on because there are times where I oscillate back and forth between that hustle and that hyper masculine focused energy, and then realizing, oh, wait, like I've left my feminine behind. And she's actually the one that when I nurture her brings in whatever manifestation I am focused on calling in right now. I hope this is making sense. But a lot of hustle has been happening. And basically, the gist of what I am picking up on a collective level right now and I'm noticing is that whatever was working before and maybe was like it was working but wasn't quite feeling right is being ripped away so that we can reflect and look at where are we going? Where have we been going? And where do we actually want to go? So, anything in your life that has not been for the highest good, and I'll give you an example. Like when I was working my 9 to 5 career, I've told this story several times, so you may have heard it before. But when I was working my 9 to 5 career, I had planned the next 5 years around that job, despite an inner calling of wanting to build my online business, right? And I continued to ignore that inner calling because I thought, logically speaking, it would make more sense to execute my 5 year plan and then work on my business. Now, had that actually worked out, I would not be where I am today. Like, for real, would not be where I am today. And so, a really big part of this is definitely working on that surrender to the universe and knowing that whatever gets pulled out of your life right now, even though it can cause pain and challenge, is for a higher purpose. So if you are someone who is in a place of transition, I just want to say that because things will turn around and you have a really, really key opportunity right now. And I'm going to give you some tools that can help you with this. There's a really key opportunity and opening right now for you to actually align with the life that you desire to create. And by doing that alignment work, that clarity work, and aligning on an energetic level, a mental level, and a physical level with where you desire to be instead, or what qualities you want in your life, what you want to make more space for in your life, you are going to be so much happier in the long run. So we can say thank you, universe. Thank you for showing me what is out of alignment and for pointing me in the direction or for creating the space for me to reflect and to look at what's not working so that I can align on a deeper level. So something that I have been really focusing on right now is self-mastery. And the reason being is because I found myself in a place recently where I knew on a logical level, I could intellectualize what was going on in my body. I could intellectualize why something wasn't working, but that did not stop the behaviors following that energy, if that makes sense. As an example, last summer, I found myself in the deepest depression of my life. I'm not a depressed person. I have never really seen myself as someone who experiences depression. Same with anxiety. Never had issues with it. Like I would get sad some days and stay in bed some days and honor myself on those days. But I would never get to the point where I was like in bed for like a week and like not able to function and having thoughts that like I didn't know what to do with. And so this past summer, I'm not going to go too deep into it. It's just like very negative. And if you want to chat about this on the side, I'm happy to do that. Although I think that reaching out to a mental health professional, therapist, like someone who can really help you with that would be really beneficial if that is something you're going through. But in a nutshell, very depressed. And I could tell, like I knew that because I am open in my emotional solar plexus in human design. That's one of the centers, one of the 9 centers. I knew that I wasn't designed to be experiencing the depth of emotion that I was experiencing. My energetic body is literally not capable of handling the extreme highs and lows of the universe or of the world. Yet I found myself in a place where I was experiencing extreme lows and I didn't really know what to do about it. I tried, I guess, getting out as much as I could. I tried just like crying and letting it out, but I just found myself in this place where I didn't really know what to do. And that was a first for me because I have so many tools as a coach and as someone who has spent the last 8 years really developing myself and learning new skills and tools to be able to help others and myself through situations like this. So, all of that to say is, I found myself in a place where I could articulate my design. I could articulate what was wrong. I could articulate why things were the way that they were, but that didn't relieve the energetics of it. Now, after moving to Montreal, I have also, and I'm just explaining my story just to provide context. Like, I don't expect that your story is exactly the same, but I want you to reflect on, like, okay, how can these examples maybe apply to my life? So, after moving to Montreal, I came here to find community and to find like-minded people, right? And I kind of found myself in this situation where I was spending a lot of time with people who didn't believe in what I do. And I have an open crown and ajna center. So crown is at the very top, and then your ajna is like around your third eye. And the crown basically is pulling information or ideas, inspiration from the ethers, and the mind or the ajna is what processes it. Now, these two centers govern ideas, inspiration, beliefs, obviously thinking, processing, logic, all of that jazz. And mine is open, meaning that my beliefs can move and change. I'm flexible thinking wise, like I'm very open minded, flexible thinker, growth mindset, I guess you could attribute to that. However, what happens when we are open and if we're not actually working on an energetic level with our energetic bodies is we absorb information, energy from other people, even if it's unspoken. And so this was like a really big, I guess, catapult into where we're at now, where I'm at now, and what I'm wanting to talk about over the next couple of weeks with you guys, because I found myself in a place where I just kept doubting my abilities and doubting myself, and this isn't going to work. And nobody understands what I do. And the reason was not because I don't believe in me. The reason was because I wasn't taking care of these centers. I have another center as well where I pick up on energy from others. Actually, I have a couple. I have 4 centers where I pick up on energy from others, but the heart center as well was one of them, all about worthiness. So I was picking up on this energy and I could articulate that to you. I could tell you like, oh, I'm feeling like this, I'm worthiness, and I'm picking it up from whatever. Or, oh, I'm feeling this really deep emotion and I'm picking it up from maybe the collective or my wife, who is an emotional being. I will often pick up on her emotions before she's even able to express that she's feeling those emotions. And so I think my depression in the summer was kind of a combination of picking up on, the other things. And this is where we pick up on energy that's, again, unspoken, right? So a lot of this can make you feel, if you are a sensitive being, it can make you feel like you are going crazy if you don't know where it's coming from, or you're like, well, this doesn't feel like me, but this is happening to me and I don't understand what's going on. So back to the belief thing, like I just had these like serious, crazy doubts about my abilities. And these doubts would kind of make me act in a way that was not serving my business or my higher vision. I would be very squirrely in my business because I was just trying to get something moving. But in that desire to get something moving and the desire to, push things forward, I was taking on too much and bouncing all over the place because I couldn't quiet my mind. And so what happens with the undefined centers with my mind is like, so I was picking up on the energy from others, but then I amplify it. So it's not even just that you're picking it up, you absorb and amplify. So it's so much bigger than what it would be if you maybe were defined in that area, right? So all of this to say is I found myself in this place where I knew that on an energetic level, my foundation was not in alignment with my future vision. And squirreling around and trying a bunch of things, like I wasn't even able to follow through on a launch last year because I was too squirrely. I think too, maybe divine timing was part of it, but I was not taking the time to actually sit and honor my design, listen to my intuition, listen for the gut responses because I was so busy, wrapped up in my conditioning. And it's interesting because a lot of human design experts will talk about, your type, your strategy, and your authority being the top three that, like, if you follow these, you're good to go. And I do agree with that. However, when we have conditioning influences on our undefined centers and we don't know how to work with that, we don't know how to filter that information properly because our undefined centers are where we're designed to mirror. We're designed to be mirrors for other people. We're also here to learn lessons in those areas, but we're not meant to absorb and hold on to that, right? If we do, we fall out of our alignment. And so what I have found is that when we're not diligently working with our energy centers, our undefined centers, we can't even hear our inner authority because we're busy running in circles according to our conditioning. So I don't know for sure what the answer is for human design, but I wanted to offer this invitation to, while like, yes, get to know your type, strategy, and authority, but also give yourself permission to dive into the other parts of your chart, like the centers, where you might be being heavily influenced by others on a very subconscious level that you're not even aware of or paying attention to because you just kind of continue to do what you do and you're not really listening maybe for those deeper things, for those other cues. So what I've personally been working on ever since January, ever since I had this realization that holy fucking shit, like, okay, I'm a manifesting generator, sacral authority. I'm supposed to do what lights me up, but I am so conditioned right now to work in this way, to over explain myself that I don't think that my work is valued in the world we live in because everyone else is over here building these like whatever businesses that way. And maybe I have to conform to that in order to be successful. When I finally sat with my energy and I started to do what I'm now calling a self-mastery daily practice is when shit started to move. That is when I started to realign with myself and I could actually hear my inner authority. And let me tell you, it has been a couple months. It's been a process. It's been a journey, but I have experienced more calling in of my desires. I have manifested some seriously crazy shit over the last couple weeks as a result of doing this self-mastery work. Now, disclaimer, is it only the result of the self-mastery work? We're never going to know because we are individuals and we have our own journeys on this planet, like I mentioned earlier in the episode. But we are also playing with divine timing and the universe's timing. And sometimes we can want something so bad, but it's not the right time for us yet. And we're also playing with, different people and other people's journeys. And we're all on this cosmic, crazy roller coaster of a ride of life. And you never know when something's going to click. But I want to tell you this story. So since I moved to Montreal, I have been really working on manifesting more abundance in my business, in my life, because we have up leveled our life and things have been a little stressful. I'm not going to lie. Things have been stressful. And in my business, despite what everyone says about creating consistent cash months and whatever, that has been an area that has been difficult for me. I'm really happy that I have an opportunity that's coming up to create consistent income. And I'm so grateful. It's something I've been working on for the past couple years, and I have finally called it in and received it because I'm ready for it. But that's part of the story I want to tell. So I went to work an event recently and I took a cab and, well, not a cab, an Uber. I took an Uber and I got into this Uber, and this sweet man, we just started connecting and chatting, and he was the worst driver in the world. If you ever see this, mister, I forget your name, but you should not drive. You know on cartoons where people are like pretending to drive or whatever, or like improv, right? You're like, da da da, I'm driving. He drove like that the whole time, like this. And you could feel it in the car. Okay. That's what we're up against. Driving too slow on the highway, lots of honking. But you know what? We kept our cool. I was like, God, angels, universe, please protect me. And let's just, see how this goes. Let's flow. And I know that I'll be okay. So we got to connecting. He's from Iran, and he told me his story, and it just broke my heart. It was so, I'll spare you the details, but it was very moving in me, very humbling. I have not made a lot of money this year in 2025 thus far. And this can happen in business, okay? Where you have months that are really big and then months that are not so great. And I have been taking it slow this year because I have known that things need to shift. And so it's been intentional, but it's been hard. And so I was on my way to this event, and this guy's story broke my heart. And I was like, man, he really could use something. Like he could use a boost. So I was like, you know what? I really want to tip him, but I only have $100 bill. And then I was like, wait, I can tip him on the Uber app. And I asked him, I was like, do all tips go to you? And he was like, yes. One of the big reasons why I really felt called to tip him big was because he told me that, he used to be a professor in Iran. They don't recognize his credentials here. And he now has to drive Uber and work 10-hour days just to make enough to live. And he's studying simultaneously to become an insurance broker or something like that. And I was like, God damn. And he was like, he showed me what he made that day. He said, I've been working for 5 hours and I've made $57. Your Uber drivers only make 50% of what you pay. And so I was only paying $20 to get to the airport, but we were stuck in traffic for 30 minutes. And so he was only going to make $10 in 30 minutes, not even considering car payment, gas, insurance, like any of that. And so, yeah, I was like, I feel called to tip him. And $50 is what I gave him. I was grappling with this because I was like, Lauren, you really need to take care of yourself. Like, I'm a very generous person. And when I have money to give, I give it. When I have time to give, I give it. When I have love to give, I give it. I genuinely love spreading joy. I love spreading resources. I love to help people. So anyway, all of that to say is I tipped him $50, and I was concerned about it because I was like, man, you've got to pay for your this and pay for that. And you should really just you're going to have more expenses coming up with this trip, and you should not overdo it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be making money on this work event, and I'm going to be fine. He needs it more than I do. I'm fine. So I tip him the $50. I let it go. I followed my intuition. And over the course of the next couple weeks, not even the next couple weeks, actually within 2 days, 3 days, 2 or 3 days of that initial timeline, I got a call booked in my calendar that already gave me the $50 back. Within a week of that 10 days, let's call it 10 days. Within 10 days of the initial giving that man a $50 tip, I total called in an extra 50 times 12. So I multiplied that $50 times 12 beyond anything that was planned or expected coming in to my accounts. It's actually even beyond 12 because I've called in some other things since then that I don't want to share just yet, but I will when the time is right. All of that to say is this is what's possible when you work on your energetic body and free yourself from the conditioning. The conditioning here would have been you don't have enough, right? Or you have to cover your things. Like any sort of, like my intuition had an internal pull. My inner guidance told me to tip this man $50. And I did go into my head and was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, maybe this, maybe that. But I had to sift through that noise in order to come back to what felt aligned in that moment, in the present moment. And this is how my design works. Like when I take intuitive action on something, I know that it's going toward something good karmically, right? Like even if I don't receive it in return right away, I know that it's going to come back to me sometime in the future. But when we are living our conditioning, we are out of alignment with our true selves and therefore struggle to see the return of the actions that we take, A, and B, we struggle to hear our intuition because we're too caught up in other people's dramas, in other people's stories, and other people's beliefs. And so this is the work that I've been working on. Now, so this is a little bit of an introduction into the self-mastery work that I have been doing to open myself back up to the flow of the universe and to align with my highest potential and my highest vision for my life and for my business. And this $50 story is an example of what miracles can come your way when you align with your most authentic self. There is so much more that I want to dive into today, but I want to wrap it up because I want to keep this episode short enough that it's not dragging on forever. In the next episode, we will talk about what it feels like to be in alignment and what it feels like to be out of alignment. And we will dive a little bit more deeply into this self-mastery practice that I've been telling you about. My self-mastery starter kit is going to be available as of next week. If you want the link to download, get access to the self-mastery starter kit, this is where I'm going to give you a masterclass on self-mastery. But I'm also going to give you a self-mastery morning meditation. It's a really good meditation. I'm really proud of it. And one of my beta testers has already come back and said that everything snapped into place by the end of it. And she felt it like electricity in her body. So I'm really excited to see how this meditation helps my beta testers. I'm excited to share that feedback with you. And I'm super stoked to get this into your hands because this self-mastery practice is something that has really changed the game for me this year. We are in very potent energetic times, and we can either choose to be run down by society and to compare ourselves to society, or we can choose to detach from societal conditioning. We can choose to honor our energetic body, and we can choose to show up as our highest selves or in alignment with who we are. And that will allow us to live our purposeful lives here on earth. Because like I said, we all came here for a purpose, but we can't live our purpose when we are busy abiding by other people's rules. We can't live our purpose when we are busy being overtaken, if you will, or overpowered by the systems that are in place that contradict what we came here for, that contradict who we are, that contradict the life that we came here to live. Okay. More coming soon. thank you for being here. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to talk about, please post that in the comments. Make sure you're subscribing and following along. And if this episode resonated with you or you thought of a friend or a colleague, please make sure to pass it along so that we can spread the word. And I will see you in the next episode. I love you.